Good afternoon, everyone. This is really a great day for our Air Force Academy. My name is Mark Hilley. I'm a member of the class of 1997, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the Association of Graduates and the Air Force Academy Foundation. And today I'll be your Master of Ceremonies. Today we celebrate a milestone in the development of what will be a new front door for the Air Force Academy, a state-of-the-art visitor center. We are honored to be in the presence of many distinguished guests, unfortunately more than time will permit us to name this afternoon. But joining us today as our hosts and our honorees are the Superintendent, Lieutenant General Richard Clark, class of 1986, Lieutenant General Bradley Hosmer, class of 1959, and Mrs. Zita Hosmer, and members of their family. Mr. Jerry Bruni, class of 1970, and Mrs. Pam Bruni. And finally, let's hear it from members of the Academy's first class, the class of 1959. Yeah. Only a few months back, we held a ceremonial groundbreaking for the entire Northgate project at this very site. Today, we take the next step by naming this visitor center for a true Academy pioneer. And at the same time, we celebrate the remarkable generosity of two of our Academy's greatest supporters. So without further delay, it's my honor to introduce the 21st Superintendent of the United States Air Force Academy, Lieutenant General Rich Clark. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Well, thank you, Mark, for the introduction. And what a great fall day. It never gets old coming to this point right here and looking right there at our Academy. It is just spectacular. I'm so honored to be here. And it's great to gather here for all of us to celebrate this special occasion. I would like to acknowledge a few guests, though, and I know some have been, but it deserves re-acknowledgement. First, our guest of honor, Lieutenant General Bradley Hosmer, his wife Zita. It is such an honor to have you here right now, and what we're about to do means so much to all of us. Thank you. Thank you for who you are. General Hansford Johnson and the other members of the class of 59 here today. It means a huge, huge amount to us to have the Air Force Academy's first class with us this afternoon. Thank you all for making it here today. We have Lieutenant General Michelle Johnson. We have Lieutenant General Mike Gould. I want to thank you both for being here. Miss Paula, thank you, ma'am. And I want to thank you for your continued support, but I do think we have a bit of an overload of superintendents right now. There's 4 of us in one place, but I know there's one thing that we can all agree on, right? It's that the top 4 superintendents to ever serve here are here right now. All right? We'll just call that good, okay? I want to thank our Vice Dean, Colonel Meg Martin, our Director of Staff, Ms. Gail Colvin, and thank you to the rest of Team USAFA for being here. And also a special shout out to Mr. Schneff, who has worked so tirelessly to make this happen, along with our CE team and all of his partners. I just want to say thank you, sir. And speaking of people that make things happen, Mr. Jerry Bruni and Miss Pam Bruni, we are so grateful for your attendance, your generous gift, and all that you do to enhance our Academy and continue to give back to us. Thank you. And our other DVs, everyone for being here right now. We are here to mark another day in the progress of our Academy, and it makes me proud to stand here as our current superintendent and to be a part of it. And as you heard in the opening comments, we're here in part to celebrate laying the cornerstone of the Academy's new visitor center. Today's celebration carries on a tradition that goes back thousands of years. To mark the start of construction of a building of high significance, ancient cultures like the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans would place relics, treasure, and other symbolic items in a hollowed out stone and publicly placed them at an important point for the structure like corners or entrances. Now, don't get any ideas here because you won't find any treasure in this cornerstone because every piece of treasure that we have is going into getting the building done. So no treasure in the cornerstone, treasure goes into the project. So, but nonetheless, with or without treasure in it, the placement of a cornerstone serves a significant architectural purpose. It's the first stone set in the foundation of a structure of which all other stones are set and laid in reference, which guarantees the proper alignment of the rest of the building. The cornerstone is so important that it's become a part of our lexicon. Cornerstone, by definition, is the foundational aspect that is crucial to everything else. For example, developing leaders of character is the Academy's cornerstone as we create officers for the Air Force and the Space Force. We have to get that right. It's our prime directive. We work to align our cadets to the values of integrity, service, and excellence beginning day one. Otherwise, everything else will be off and weakened by a poorly set foundation. Now, as we lay this building's cornerstone, there is no more perfect time to announce the name of the new visitor center because it will honor a family whose name is synonymous with the cornerstone when it comes to our academy. I am pleased to officially announce today that the new visitor center will be called the Hosmer Visitor Center. And rightfully so. The name pays homage to one of our most distinguished graduates, Lieutenant General retired Bradley C. Hosmer, class of 1959, and his wife, Zita. Lieutenant General Hosmer is most appropriately described as the cornerstone of the Air Force Academy because he is a man of many firsts. The first graduate in the first Academy graduating class in 1959. The first Air Force Academy Rhodes Scholar. The first Air Force Academy graduate to be appointed superintendent. He is literally the first member of the Long Blue Line. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. He was a command pilot with more than 4,000 flying hours in multiple aircraft, T-33, T-37, T-38, O-1, F-4, F-16, F-15, F-100, and the F-111. Probably been quicker if I said the planes you didn't fly, but we just went that way. He's been awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. He went on to serve in a variety of staff positions, including Vice Director of the Joint Staff, Air Force Inspector General, and was appointed as the 12th Superintendent in 1991. I believe he has earned the distinction as a cornerstone of our Academy. But I'm sure that General Hosmer would enthusiastically agree that great success requires great support. By his side, through his illustrious career, is his wife, Zita, an accomplished woman by her own right. She was born in Greece and grew up in New York City. She is an honors graduate of Wellesley College, and one of her many passions is dedication to her father's legacy, the Basil Vlavianos collection, an internationally recognized collection of over 3,500 books on modern Greece. She is most well known, however, for the loving kindness she shows to everyone she meets and her ability to make everyone she touches feel special. That's why you're a cornerstone of our academy. She's been an amazing life partner, and together, Brad and Zita Hosmer perfectly symbolize a cornerstone. They define the proper alignment of our academy, and they establish the foundation upon which our academy stands. They represent the beginning of this great institution in the same way this cornerstone represents the beginning of a new era. The Hosmer Visitor Center will not only be a state-of-the-art facility, but it will be an iconic landmark Seen from I-25, the first building travelers will see as they crest Monument Hill on their way into Colorado Springs. As our front door, it will be many citizens' first introduction to our Air Force Academy, our country's premier institution for developing leaders of character. This building will, in innumerable ways, pay a fitting tribute to the Hosmers and the members of the Long Blue Line while ushering in our next generation of graduates who will celebrate many more firsts for our nation. This is truly a momentous day for our Academy, and I'm honored to be part of it. Once again, congratulations, General and Mrs. Hosmer. Congratulations, USAFA community, and thank you to everyone who made this possible and for being here today. Mark, back to you.
Thank you, General Clark. As many of you know, this project has been made possible through a partnership including the Air Force Academy, the Blue and Silver Development Company, the Association of Graduates and Air Force Academy Foundation, the City of Colorado Springs, and Provident Resources. We want to thank all of you who have participated in this effort as part of these organizations. We also want to thank a number of our lead contributors today for this project, including Jack and Vianne Kuchera and Alex and Kate Gilbert. But most especially today, we acknowledge the generosity of Jerry and Pam Bruni, who have stepped forward as the lead donors for the Visitors Center with a contribution of $5.5 million in honor of General Hosmer's career of firsts. Their generous gift ensures the Hosmer Visitors Center will be more than just a beautiful structure. Their gift advances the vision for an immersive visitor experience, especially for those young men and women who may someday pursue a lifetime of service at the Academy and beyond. At this time, I'd like to ask Jerry Bruni to come forward for some remarks.
I'm thrilled to be here today with my wife, Pam, to celebrate a momentous project and a momentous time for our Air Force Academy. If you think about it, we're sitting where in the future millions of visitors will be and when they first encounter the Air Force Academy structures. They will also first become familiar with the mission of the Academy and our service to the Air Force, the Space Force, and our country writ large. For some visitors, the Academy's dedication to its mission and the concept of service before self will hopefully seem refreshing and motivational. Hardly a person who walks around here won't be able to find some motivation and some ways to contribute to their communities and to our country. And that's one good reason why so many people are working so hard to make the iconic Hosmer Visitor Center and the displays a fantastic and moving visitor experience. Pam and I can't think of a more appropriate servant leader to name the center for than General Bradley Hosmer. He is truly a man of character, a scholar, and a leader. His list of accomplishments is exceeded only by his dedicated service on so many levels. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't call attention to General Hosmer's pioneering class of 1959. You have gone where others haven't gone. You were first. They dedicated themselves. You have dedicated yourselves to becoming leaders that our nation needs. You have prepared yourselves, you have sacrificed, and you have given it your all. On behalf of all following Academy classes, I'd like to express to you how much we look up to you. With your example in mind, we too are going to give it our all.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you, Pam. Now it's my privilege to invite our honoree forward today, my duly superintendent, Lieutenant General Brad Hosmer. Sir, the podium is yours.
Wow. I am truly humbled to be here today in this role as a representative of my class. Now, thank you, General Clark, for your kind words and for hosting this ceremony. Four of us here can testify that every superintendent has had challenges. The challenges seem to get a little more complicated as our culture evolves. And the call to command an effective military organization, much less an academy with 4,000 of today's teenagers on board, is a challenge to be respected and admired and very much appreciated. Thank you, General Clark. Jerry Bruni. Jerry Bruni is a man who has made exceptional success out of his second career. And he's determined to share some of that success with the Academy so that the Academy can do more for and with today's cadets to improve their lives and the Air Force officers they become. Also, my thanks to General Gould for being the sort of overseer and organizer of all the matters that have come to place us here today. And my thanks also to the visitors and my classmates and other guests who, like many of you, have set aside a busy time and come a long way to be here. Thank you. Thank you all. I'm reflecting that in the spring of my 17th year, before I had an appointment to come here, I was a dockhand in a small marina. Many of you have seen that marina. It's directly between the Pentagon and the Potomac River. And if you stand at the river entrance and you look to the northeast to the Potomac, you're looking right across the little lagoon where that marina sat. The docks in that marina were World War II barges that were sunk until they floated about a foot above the water. You put planks on them and they become piers. Docks. Those were the docks for the marina. And as the wind worked and the tides splashed and so on, they gradually accumulated muck from the Potomac River and sunk lower and lower and lower until a dockhand pumped out the water, pulled a few planks, and got down there and shoveled out the muck. Well, when the Washington Post learned that the new academy had issued some appointments, they took some interest in the fact that a local boy got one. And they sent a photographer to ask a few questions. He caught me mucking out a barge. So I climbed out of the barge and I turned over my bucket and sat down on it and answered a few questions. The next morning, the owner of the marina was really unhappy because there was the marina, his baby, featured in a Washington Post photograph, and the wrong guy was in the picture. So I got fired. And that's why I've always been a little nervous about naming events involving me. This is also a good opportunity to recognize those who helped stand up this institution, this academy. And I'm referring to those who joined General Harmon in 1954 to put together a functioning, effective military academy from scratch in 14 months. The 300 young men that I represent, some of whom are here today, came along a year later, on 11 July 1955. That's a long time ago. We were the operational test to see if all that planning would work. And countless seeds were planted, and you can look there and see the results of many of them. More will come here. We also take some pleasure in the fact that a number of people who were there to start an institution like this are still here to talk about it. It's surprising to realize how long ago that was in the history of aviation. When we graduated in 1959, man's first powered flight was 56 years old. It had happened 56 years before. As we stand here today, that graduation was 63 years ago. This institution has seen more than half of the history of all aviation. How about that? The profession of arms has also evolved in those 63 years. If you look at what's happened with the tools and technologies of the profession of arms, it's evolved through at least 3 generations. The Academy Cyber Center and the Institute for Warfare, Future Warfare, that are coming into being now at the Academy are good examples of that evolution. At the same time, the, let's say, the fundamentals, the human arts required for success in the profession of arms have remained very much the same. They've been noted since first recorded warfare that the human skills and the character and leadership required to bind an organization with 360-degree trust into an effective military unit, effective in combat, have always been the same. They have not changed. And they remain vital today for any kind of conflict, whether it's combat on the Potomac River, combat in the Combat Operations Center, in supply and maintenance depots. Any kind of organizational effort requires those skills to be effective. They also make or break military academies. In many respects, I suspect these human arts are more difficult for young people to learn and incorporate than the high technology understandings and skills that we expect them to have. But happily, our Academy is preeminent in providing both to our new Air Force officers. One of the lessons learned by military services older than ours is to work very, very hard at earning the confidence and trust of our citizens. Representing the Air Force to the public with our best faith is an important part of sustaining public support for the Air Force, even when, or especially when, understanding our value is not well placed in every small town in America. This visitor center is a critical tool in the toolkit of the Air Force and the Academy for earning that support and representing by showing what we do and how we do it and what we stand for. I'd like to say the class of '59 and I are very, very pleased to caption this visitor center on behalf of the class and the Academy as something critically important for the Air Force, for the Academy, and for the Long Blue Line. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Hosmer. Now it's time for the big reveal. I'd like to ask Mr. and Mrs. Bruni and General and Mrs. Hosmer to please come forward for the Cornerstone unveiling. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. This concludes our official ceremony. For those that would like, we'll be up here to take some pictures We'll have some photographers up front, and Max Miller implored me to announce that the class of '59 has a photo up here, so don't run off and go other places. We have some food in the back, and please enjoy your time together. Now, join me in one final thing here. Go Air Force. Be Navy. There you go. Thank you all.